Hey everyone! Welcome to The Young and the Restless. I'm Jane, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Young and the Restless, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, July 15th, show that Lily Winters will be devastated by Damian Kane's death, while Chance Chancellor launches a criminal inquiry and interrogates several suspects. Following a huge Damian Kane stabbing cliffhanger, YNR viewers will witness the tragic aftermath on Tuesday's episode. Phyllis Summers' loyalties will be tested after seeing Kane Ashby clutching Damian's wounded body. Kane may swear he was not responsible and hope Phyllis would prove she is a team player. Since Chance will be in charge of investigating everything, Phyllis may lie about seeing someone else with the knife to back Kane up. However, Kane may simply push Phyllis to flee and pretend she never saw anything at all. Kane may seek Carter's assistance in staging a fresh crime scene in order to relieve some of his own pressure. Regardless, Phyllis will ultimately run across Nick Newman and assume that he saw something as well. That will allow Phyllis to quiz Nick and determine how much he knows. When Nick learns things on the property are becoming perilous, he will be more determined than ever to discover an escape route. Nick will feel compelled to get his loved ones home before any further criminal drama can unfold. Unfortunately, nobody will be going away anytime soon because Chance will be doing a lot of research. Lily will eventually learn more about Damian's dire situation. Although Lily didn't know Damian very well, she had grown to care about him in recent months and was looking forward to a new chapter in their relationship. Lily will undoubtedly be saddened by Damian's death and will have questions for Kane on Tuesday's episode of YNR. This is awful news that will throw Lily for a loop and make her worry how far Kane will go to eliminate the competition. However, everyone will be a suspect after Chance gathers the majority of the gang for interrogation on the train. Chance will want to contact with each individual alone and ask them to reveal their whereabouts during the tragic moment. According to the Young and the Restless teasers, Chance will try to figure out what's going on. Stay tuned! Lily Winters sat in the Abbott mansion's darkly lit living room, her hands quivering as she gripped Damian's framed image, her fingertips tracing the edges of the glass as if she could bring him back with the sheer intensity of her grief. The room felt suffocating, the air heavy with sadness and unresolved questions, and the weight of his absence pressed down on her like a physical force. She had experienced loss before, living in Genoa City had taught her that pain was unavoidable, but this was different. Damian had been her rock, her confidant, the only guy who had seen her at her worst yet still loved her completely. Now he was gone, ripped from her in the most cruel way, and the world around her appeared to shatter with each passing second. The cops had been imprecise, offering few answers, and their platitudes did nothing to relieve the gnawing ache in her chest. She replayed their last discussion in her head, looking for hints, anything that could explain why someone would want him dead. Was there a warning in his comments that she missed? Was there a hesitancy in his voice that should have raised an alarm? But all she could recall was the warmth of his smile, the way his eyes crinkled at the corners when he laughed, the sound now permanently muted. Across town, Chance Chancellor sat at his desk, the paperwork on Damian's case splayed out before him like a puzzle with half of its pieces missing. He'd witnessed his fair share of homicides, but this one felt personal. Damian had been more than just another victim, he had been a cornerstone of the community, a guy with connections, influence, and, as Chance soon discovered, plenty of enemies. The list of suspects was growing by the hour, with each name more unexpected than the next. There was Victor Newman, of course, the man had a reputation for removing roadblocks with cold efficiency, and Damian had recently been a thorn in his side. However, Victor was not the only one with a motivation. Adam Newman, ever the wild card, was observed arguing with Damian just days before his murder, and their altercation escalated to the point where security had to intervene. Then there was Phyllis Summers, whose recent erratic conduct had aroused more than a few questions. And don't forget Ashley Abbott, whose arrival in town corresponded with an abrupt shift in Damian's demeanor, as if he was carrying a secret too big to bear. Chance rubbed his temples, the first signs of a headache pulsating behind his eyes. He needed to speak with Lily, not just as a detective, but as someone who cared. He had seen the grief in her eyes at the crime scene, as well as the way her knees buckled when the sheet was peeled back to show Damian's face. She deserved answers, even if he didn't have any yet. Pushing back from his desk, he grabbed his coat and walked outside, the chilly night air doing little to ease his mind. When he arrived at the Abbott estate, he found Lily precisely where he expected, curled up on the couch, her face pallid and her eyes red-rimmed from crying. She looked up as he entered, and for a few moments, neither of them spoke. The stillness between them was thick, carrying all the things that couldn't be expressed. Finally, Chance sat across from her, his voice low but steady. "I need to ask you some questions," he explained softly. "About Damian. About anyone who might have intended to harm him." Lily swallowed hard and tightened her fingers around the photograph. "I've been asking myself the same thing," she said quietly. "But I do not know. He had problems with others, but not to this extent." Chance nodded and pulled out his notepad. "Tell me about the arguments. Start with Victor." Lily's breath caught at the name. Victor had always been a huge presence in their lives, a man whose power extended to every part of Genoa City. They clashed over business, she revealed. Damian was working on a transaction that would have reduced Newman Enterprises' revenues. Victor didn't like that. Chance jotted a note. "And Adam?" Lily paused. Adam was unpredictable, a man who thrived on chaos. They had a falling out a while ago. Something concerning a previous treachery. Damian never told me the details, but I know it was horrible. Chance's pen hovered over the page. "What about Phyllis?" Lily frowned. "Phyllis? What has she got to do with this?" Chance sighed. "She's been acting suspiciously recently, making threats and stirring up trouble. I'm just covering all the bases." Lily shakes her head. "I do not see it. She and Damian seldom talked." Chance made another note before moving forward. "And Ashley?" Lily stiffened. Ashley's homecoming surprised everyone, especially Damian. "She came back out of nowhere," Lily remarked hesitantly. "Damian was different after that. Distant. As if something was dragging on him." Chance leaned forwards. "Has he said anything to you? Is there anything that can help us comprehend why?" Lily closed her eyes, trying to remember. "He said that some secrets were better kept buried. I assumed he was talking about things from the past that were no longer relevant. But now..." Her voice cracked. "Now I wonder if he knew this was coming." Chance breathed sharply, his thoughts whirling. Secrets. That was the key. Damian had been hiding something large enough to get him killed. The question was, who else knew? How far would they go to keep it buried? He stood and tucked his notepad away. "I will find out who did this, Lily. I promise." She glanced up at him, her eyes filled with both appreciation and anguish. "What good will that do?" she said quietly. "It won't bring him back." Chance had no response to that. Nothing he could say would alleviate her suffering. He could only do his job. As he stepped back out into the darkness, he made a solemn promise to himself. He would find the truth, no matter where it led. Even if it led him directly to the heart of Genoa City's darkest secrets. Meanwhile, the suspects were on edge. Victor Newman sat in his office, his customary composure slightly frazzled. He'd done enough investigations to understand how they worked, but this one felt different. Chance wasn't some inexperienced detective, he was meticulous and relentless. Victor had no intention of getting caught in the crossfire. Across town, Adam paced his penthouse, his mind racing with paranoia and mistrust. He hadn't killed Damian, at least, he was very certain he hadn't, but that didn't make him innocent. There were too many skeletons in his closet, too many lies that could be exposed if the wrong thread was pulled. Phyllis, for her part, was cooped up in her apartment, her phone humming with unanswered texts. She had her own reasons for remaining out of the spotlight, but dodging Chance's queries would be difficult. And Ashley? She was nowhere to be found, and her sudden absence left more questions than answers. As the night progressed, the anxiety in Genoa City increased, as did the volume of whispers. Someone knew what had happened to Damian. Someone was hiding the truth. Chance was determined to bring it to light, regardless of the cost. For Lily, Damian, and Justice, he would not stop until he got answers. Even if it meant tearing the entire town apart.